Welcome to your favorite bookish podcast, Fully Booked and Caffeinated. I'm Kelsey.
And I'm Heather.
And today we will be discussing and reviewing I Who Have Never Known Men by Jacqueline Harpman. As usual, let's talk about our fuel for this discussion. What are you drinking / did you drink, Heather?
I currently have some water, but I wanted to talk about the coffee I got over the weekend. I went to my local coffee shop, Caffeine Haven, and they have their March drink specials out, and I got a Lucky Charm latte, so it was a marshmallow flavored latte with strawberry cold foam.
Ooh, was
and
that
Lucky
good?
Charm marshmallows on top. Actually, yes.
It sounds good.
It was pretty tasty. I was pleasantly surprised because I'm not a big fruit in my coffee, like fruit flavor, but it actually was pretty good.
Yeah, I feel like I didn't used to be. And now the more I have it, I'm like,
I know.
Maybe I am?
I know. The more that I try new things, the more I'm like, maybe I can get behind this.
Mm-hmm. I had a couple fancy coffees this weekend, but I went to this place called Randy's Donuts.
Ooh.
And apparently it's a very famous donut shop on the West Coast. Because they have them all over California. They have a couple in Arizona. And it's been around since the 50s or something. I don't know. But their donuts were so fucking good. And they have both kinds. So they have the thick cakey ones and they have the thinner fluffy ones.
The thick cakey ones are my fave.
And I'm the opposite. I love the thinner fluffies.
Mm-hmm.
So the one I got was a maple frosted. And then it had 2 mini churros on top with caramel drizzle.
That sounds
so good.
Delicious.
And then my mom got a Long John, which is the long ones. And it was maple bacon. And it was so fucking good.
I see where you get your maple from.
Oh my God. Well, she's like, oh, I really like the maple here. I was like, oh, I don't usually order maple, but that one's got a churro on it, so I'll try it. And it was delicious. And I did get coffee. I got a iced butter latte. So it had butterscotch or butter toffee or something. And then my mom got a sea salt caramel latte.
That sounds good too.
And they were both so good. They were definitely more dessert coffees.
Yeah.
They're very sweet, but she did brew the espresso fresh. It wasn't...
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it wasn't prepackaged coffee. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I will say my donut was my favorite part, but it's just because I love donuts,
I mean, same.
It's hard to find the perfect donut.
I know. I had donuts this weekend too. From there's a donut shop called Dollar Donuts, and the donuts are all $1.
Yes, I remember you saying this. This is crazy.
They're really good donuts. They're small and fluffy.
I love that.
They taste you can tell that they're baked fresh every day. So the next time that we have a party for Millie, or even I have a party, that's going to be my dessert choice.
Oh,
it's
definitely.
Affordable. And they're good. So if I get 2 dozen donuts, that's $24 plus tax.
In this economy, gotta do what you can.
Exactly.
All right, cheers.
Cheers.
Okay. Jacqueline Harpman was born in 1929 in Belgium. Weirdly enough, her family was Jewish and fled to Casablanca, Morocco, which is exactly what my grandmother's family did.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, so my grandmother was born in Casablanca. And they were Jewish, obviously. But many of Hartman's family actually died in Auschwitz.
Oh,
but they were able to, flee before World War II.
Good.
So that her family wasn't affected, but, they lost so many family members. So originally she was studying medicine until she contracted tuberculosis and was hospitalized for 2 years. Didn't we talk about another book where someone was hospitalized for tuberculosis?
Yes. Don't ask me to remember what that was.
What are the chances?
But that sounds so familiar.
Uh-huh. Then later in life, she went back to school and became a psychotherapist. And she wrote until her death in 2012, where she passed peacefully at home with her husband and 2 daughters from cancer. So she's been dead for a little while, but she had a long, fulfilling life.
Yeah.
So this book was originally published in 1995 in French and was translated to English in 1999. I don't think that's right. That should say 1997. Anywho, it's in the 90s.
What a time.
Maybe not the year Clueless came out, I'm not sure. By Ross Schwartz for release in the UK and the US. And there was a 2019 reissue in the UK where Schwartz revised the translation and kind of like updated it. And an intro by Sophie McIntosh was added. This updated version was released in 2022 in the US. And since it had been out of print for many years, the internet picked it up. And it surged in popularity again. Thank you, TikTok. And in 2024, a reissue of the book sold 100,000 copies in the US.
Wow. Yeah, because I had never heard of this book. And Eric had asked me what book we were doing, and I told him it was this one. He was like, oh, is that dystopian book? I'm like, how do you know about this book? He was like, the internet. Yep. I was like, okay.
It started popping up for me, too. This one creator I follow who's got a lot of followers, she just read it, and she loved it. And so then after that, I saw it start popping up. But it's been dubbed the Gen Z Handmaid's Tale.
Okay.
Which, like, I do see the similarities. Handmaid's Tale is much darker. But millennials are much darker. So
it's true.
I get that. All right. So let's do the story graph. Who's it for? For readers drawn to stark existential dystopias centered on the ache of never having known connection. Ideal if you crave spare, meditative prose that lingers in darkness, favors emotional excavation over action, and leaves vast negative space for your own loneliness to echo.
Wow.
I mean, it is a bit of word salad, but it is also accurate word salad.
It's an accurate word salad, for sure.
Okay, let's see how my book summary goes. Deep underground, 40 women live imprisoned in a cage, watched over by guards. The women have no memory of how they got there, no notion of time, and only a vague recollection of their lives before. As the burn of electric light merges day and night, and numberless years pass, a young girl, the 40th prisoner, sits alone and outcast in the corner. Soon she will show herself to be the key to the others' escape and survival in the strange world that awaits them above ground. Informed by her background as a psychoanalyst and her youth in exile, I Have Never Known Men is a haunting, heartbreaking, post-apocalyptic novel about female friendship and intimacy and the lengths people will go to maintain their humanity in the face of devastation. Back in print for the first time since 1997, Hartman's modern classic is an important addition to the growing canon of feminist speculative literature.
Very nice.
All right, before we get into the plot, let's take a quick ad break. You know, here at Fully Booked and Caffeinated, we love coffee, but there are so many options to choose from in the coffee game. So how can you narrow it down? Well, allow us to help. Afuera Coffee is a company that sources their specialty beans from Central and South America, and the environment is quite literally in every bean. The volcanic soil infuses each coffee bean with vibrant and unique flavors. They have a flavor for everyone based on your personal tastes. Bold espresso for me, smooth light roast for Heather. And that's not all. The best part about Afuera Coffee is the ethical sourcing and sustainable farming practices they use to give you the best coffee while still protecting Mother Earth. And there's more. 5% of all sales are donated back to charities that provide conservation efforts to the great outdoors. If you don't believe me, go to their website, afueracoffee.com, and click on the 5% Pledge tab. They have some great info on how much their pledge to charity has already impacted the environment. So check out Afuera Coffee if you're looking for great tasting, vibrant coffee, and you can rest assured knowing that you're contributing not only to your own happiness, but to the environment that we so desperately need to protect. This is an exclusive discount for listeners of our show. Use our promo code to get 15% off any product at afueracoffee.com. That's AFUERA coffee.com. Use promo code CAFFPOD, CAFFPOD. Again, that's afueracoffee.com, promo code CAFPOD for 15% off sustainable and ethically sourced coffee.
If you've been a long-time listener of the pod, you know Kelsey and I are all about pop culture and the entertainment industry. And if you happen to be looking for a one-place stop to shop for officially licensed merchandise, we've got the place for you. Old Glory is the ultimate destination to shop, offering over 300,000 items for music, sports, entertainment, and pop culture fans. This family-owned superstore has provided high-quality clothing and accessories since 1969, featuring the world's most iconic bands, sports teams, fan-favorite apparel, and quirky gifts, which means there's truly something for everyone. With free standard shipping and same-day order processing, Old Glory delivers fast and reliable service with every purchase. So whether you are shopping for yourself or looking for that perfect gift, Old Glory is your one-stop shop for iconic, high-quality merch, and our lucky listeners will receive an exclusive 15% off any product with the promo code CAFPOD. So head on over to oldglory.com to begin shopping their wide range of high-quality merchandise and get that exclusive discount. Again, that's Old Glory, OLDGLORY.com, promo code CAFPOD.
And we're back. Okay, so we start with our main character, who is also our narrator and is unnamed, which is the second book where our main character is unnamed, because that's the same as Handmaid's Tale.
Oh, yeah.
Weird. And she is insinuating that she's different. She doesn't remember laughing or crying, but even in the first few pages, she kind of comes around to realizing that she had loved and was capable of suffering and was human after all. So already we're like, what is this girl's deal? Like, what has she been through, you know?
What is your trauma?
Yeah, please let us hear about it and discuss. And the rest of the story is her account or memories of what have happened. So it's kind of like journal style, because she decides that her story is worthy of being remembered. So she starts at the beginning, which isn't the beginning of her life, but it's the beginning of her memories. And she lives with 39 other women in a bunker, and she's the only child. They assume that she's about 10 or 12 when they first get there. And since all the other women are adults, the consensus is that she's there by accident. So they're given food twice a day that they prepare themselves. They use the bathroom out in the open, prison style. They only receive cloth to make new clothes when they're in desperate need of it. They're also not allowed to have any physical contact with one another. And they have to regulate their emotions. So if anyone starts getting, like, crying or getting excited or anything, if anyone starts acting differently, their jailers will crack a whip that immediately puts them back into line. And they're so, like, responsive to this. It's like Pavlov's dog. Like, the guards don't have to whip them. It's just the idea of the whip that stops them in their tracks. And a few women have even tried to kill themselves, but the guards have put a stop to that also. So the tough thing is that they have no concrete memories of what happened to get them at this bunker. Like, were they at war? Was a siren sounded and they started rounding up the women? Were they drugged? Some have memories of bombs and screaming, but they can't be 100% sure that those are real memories.
Exactly.
And because of that, they have no idea why they're in the bunker, why they're being kept alive, what their purpose is. It's just completely unknown. And because of this, the women tire of talking about their memories and speculating on what happened. And that causes our main character to become increasingly hostile to them because they won't share knowledge with her. And she's curious. She wants to know what the world was like before, or about things that don't register to her, like love or men. And the women are basically like, why bother even talking about it? Because you'll never experience it and it doesn't matter. And like, I get both sides. You know, it's obviously frustrating because she wants to know, because it's things that were so important to them. And I get why they don't want to talk about it. There's also an imagined sense of hierarchy, which also makes sense to me. I mean, there have been plenty of studies done and experiments done where humans need this sense of hierarchy or this sense of structure in order to function. But our main character doesn't get this because they're all equals. They're all imprisoned in a bunker. So she doesn't understand why some of the women should be held in higher regard just because of their age. So because of this frustration and these many reasons, she distances herself from the women, and she's kind of a loner. She starts paying attention to the guards and realizes there's a young, handsome guard. And she starts fantasizing about him and discovers orgasms. I'm so impressed that she can orgasm from just using her imagination.
Yeah. What does she call it? The explosion?
Explosions. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, yes, girl. Get it. Because, you know, most of the women in that bunker have never experienced an explosion. Mm-mm. Very impressive. But yeah, she doesn't refer to it as that. She doesn't even know what orgasms are.
She doesn't know what it is. Yeah.
She never goes through puberty. She never gets her period. And she doesn't realize that this is something she should ask the others about. Mm-hmm. If they'd even tell her. They'd probably be jealous too. Then one day she starts to count time with the help of Anthea based on her own heart rate. So they're trying to figure out the schedule, their schedule of sleep and waking, and the guard's schedule, because they don't know if they're operating on the schedule that they always did in real life, like a night and day. Because, you know, Anthea's like, well, usually if you worked, you would work from 8 to 5, or, you know, be doing all these things during the day, but we're not doing that for so many hours. They're only getting 2 meals a day. So they're kind of trying to trying to put some sort of structure into their day, right? So once her and Anthea let the others know what's going on and they show interest, she finally feels like she's starting to fit in and she's more understanding of the behaviors of the other women. Mm-hmm. And then one day, an extreme event occurs. The guards are opening the cage to give the women their food, and a siren sounds. All of the guards up and leave. Just like they're programmed. Like they're little robots being called home.
Yeah.
And our main character is able to get her hands on the keys. And so she unlocks the cage. They climb a whole bunch of stairs, and they end up in a cabin. And when they go outside, they're in the middle of nowhere. No trees, no mountains, just grass. Basically, wide open plains, like Montana or something.
Yeah.
And the women are terrified because they have no idea why the guards left and when or if they will come back. And like if they're going to be punished when they come back. But then the fact that now they're out and they've gotten this fresh air, they're like, I'm never going back in there.
I don't blame them.
Mm-mm. And they've grown so accustomed to their way of life in the bunker that even though they hated it, they can't fathom where they will go next. Mm-hmm. And so, like, their only thought is, I'm not going back down there. But, okay, what does that mean? But our main character doesn't seem to have these qualms. And she has this idea that it's easier for her to adapt to this newfound freedom because she doesn't have memories of the real world or of routine. And all she knows is the bunker, no life before. Mm-hmm. So after some convincing and agreeing and discussion, they decide to start walking to find some civilization. And the first thing they come upon is another cabin, which ends up being another bunker just like theirs and a mass grave with 40 dead bodies. And as they keep traveling, they find more and more and more and more bunkers filled with dead bodies.
It's crazy.
Not just women, men also.
Yeah.
Which shocked me.
Me too. That was a little plot twist I wasn't expecting.
Mm-hmm. And this whole thing blew my mind. Like, they never actually say how many bunkers they find, but it is thousands.
Yeah.
Because they walk for years, and she is still finding them up until her old age.
Yeah.
So they leave a signature at each bunker in case there are other survivors, but most of them don't actually have hope of that because what are the chances that someone else, that the siren went off at the exact same time. No, the siren went off at the same time everywhere. But what are the chances that it coincided with them opening the cage?
Exactly.
Which, now that I'm thinking about it, is kind of crazy, because that means that every bunker had a different schedule.
Yeah.
At least slightly. Mm-hmm. So that's interesting. Anyway, so all the bunkers still have electricity, refrigeration, air conditioning, food, frozen meat, canned food. So the biggest problems that this group would face as far as shelter and food, those won't be issues.
Yeah, exactly.
So that kind of like solves one of the dystopian roadblocks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They end up walking for 2 years before deciding to build themselves a little village with cabins. And suddenly they are all carpenters and can build whole ass houses. And they start to form a different society with this freedom. Women start hooking up with other women. Mm-hmm. And we love a dystopia with lesbians. And our main character's like, why? What is happening? And
I know.
Is like, let me explain. And they continue to just assimilate to their new normal. And cliques form, and they have their own little hobbies and, you know, their own little groups and whatever. But not long after, the oldest members start to die off. One of which takes her own life, which was traumatic, to say the least. But it shows that just because they're no longer in their bunker prison, they're still unable to control their lives in the way that we can. So, obviously, people can die suddenly. People can die in accidents, etc. But in this story, the women can really only die from old age or cancer. And there's no way for them to predict when that will happen. They just listen to their body and they're like, guess it's time now. And there's also a level of pity for our main character because she hasn't experienced so much. And there's a frustration because they constantly remind her of this and basically say there's no point in discussing it because it will never happen, despite her being curious and wanting to know. But Anthea is very patient, and she explains the missing pieces, the things that others refuse to, and they end up having a really great relationship. One of the women, Rose, is a singer. And she provides a level of beauty to the group or of expression that they're not really capable of. And we will get back to this because I think Rose is a very important character despite the fact that we never interact with her directly. She's just always in the back singing. Which, like, would drive me up a fucking wall. But you know what I mean. It's great once in a while. So obviously, since we're in our main character's head, we get a lot of insight into how she feels, into how she sees herself as different from the other women. And as we, the readers, see how she behaves differently. And my first thought was, I'm about to armchair diagnose, but that she was autistic because she hates physical touch.
Yeah.
She's able to count to ridiculous sums of numbers without even acknowledging it. And some of her behaviors are kind of sociopathic, which a lot of times autistic people are mislabeled this way just because they process emotions differently.
Yeah, that's all pretty valid. I didn't even think about that.
And it's like, she does say that the reason for all of this is because she doesn't know anything before the bunker, but that's not really enough of an explanation because she's been around these other women for so long. So, like, if she wanted physical touch, like, that would have rubbed off on her. You know what I mean?
And I feel like she keeps bringing up that she realizes that she's built different than the other women.
And at first, it upsets her. Not because she thinks there's anything wrong with her, but because she thinks there's something wrong with them. But then as she starts to realize, like, oh, I'm just different, she starts to accept it more. So as everyone in the group grows older and becomes sick, some want to be put out of their misery. And they beg for assisted suicide, which is the compassionate and dignified way to die. And so they ask Anthea because she is technically their nurse, aka she's the closest thing to it because she was in nursing school when the world ended. But she can't do it, understandably, because it is difficult. So our MC is like, bet, I can kill them. Don't worry. And she becomes the murderer by stabbing women who are ready to die in the heart.
This seems like such a harsh way to go, but they seem to be fine with it.
I feel like stabbing in the heart is a wild way to kill someone.
Yeah.
And the fact that they just figure out exactly how to do it instead of these women, like, bleeding out. Mm-hmm. And it seems like they die instantly. She's a killing machine. Mm-hmm. Killing machine. But she does have a slight boundary. So she won't kill any of the women who aren't actually sick or on their way to dying.
Which is valid.
Yeah. And it's not unexpected, but because she is so accepting of her role, it's good to see that she has this boundary, you know? So they pay respect to the dead, and they bury them in their own sick little graveyard, which is very nice, but God, there are so many dead bodies in this book. So throughout all of their adventures and these decisions, they're still prisoners. They're still not free. They're still chained to the bunkers. Their initial sense of hope has dissipated, and even though they obviously have plenty of perks compared to their bunker life, there are new challenges. And they're still absolutely nowhere close to the world before. Before long, they're down to 6 people, and it's Anthea's turn, which is the first death and the only death that really affects our main character. Mm-hmm. Basically, she says that the other women dying was slowly killing Anthea because she was so empathetic, and she was the one who kind of bound all the women together. Mm-hmm. And so that weighed heavily on her. And then we're down to just 2. Our main character and Laura. And she simply cannot wait for Laura to die. She's
counting
like,
down the hours.
God, you're still here? Mm-hmm. And Laura's just like looking around. She's like, oh, God, I was getting so annoyed that Laura was breathing. And she's always been independent, and now she's ready to be on her own again to keep exploring, because if it wasn't for the other women, she would have walked for the past 20 years.
Exactly.
And eventually, it seems like Laura just gives up on life. She just is like, I'm done. You don't want me here. I don't want me here. And our MC's like, I can't argue with you there. So, time for you to go. So, she's relieved. She can finally take off on her exploring adventure. And she's very restless being in the same place. So, this is when her second phase of life actually begins. Mm-hmm. On her journey, she finds an abandoned bus filled with skeletons wearing guards' uniforms. And the bus is on a road. Mm-hmm. And this is the first new or different thing she's ever seen. Mm-hmm. And it gives her a little bit of hope, because she's been walking for 20 years or something. They've never seen anything different.
Yeah.
But it turns out that the road leads to nowhere. How? Why? We'll never know.
No.
So she buries the skeletons. God, they do so much burying. And moves along. And as she continues walking and walking and walking and walking, she realizes that the bunkers are always in groups of 5. This doesn't mean anything to us at all, but it's further proof that this was planned and organized and was not a impulsive thing. Mm-hmm. Eventually, she finds a pile of big rocks, which is definitely not natural or accidental, and she spends time clearing it, which makes her really nervous because she feels like, if I get to the bottom of this pile of rocks and there's nothing there, it's just going to be more unanswered questions.
Yeah.
It's just going to be more hope that I don't have, and more things for her to harp on, basically, just like the bus and the road were. Mm-hmm. But when she gets to the bottom of the pile, There's a metal door which opens to a spiral staircase, and she finds an underground residence with running water, books, a bathtub, a mirror, a bed with a pillow, things she's never used or seen in her life. And it's here that she lives out the rest of her days. She teaches herself to read and write, and she had already been working on it a little bit with Anthea, but she's never actually had books or paper to work with. And she learns a lot. She starts reading a book on like aeronautics or something. And I'm like, imagine teaching yourself how to read with that. Okay. So she writes every experience, which is what we're reading, in the hope that someone will find the pages one day. Who? I don't know. And after a few years, she starts to hemorrhage blood and experience a lot of pain. And she deduces that it's some type of ovarian cancer or some cancer of her womb, but she doesn't want to wait to die and decides to take her own life by stabbing herself. What? Insane. The final sentence is this ironic statement. Strange that I am dying from a diseased womb, I who have never had periods and who have never known men. And that was the first time that this book kind of like stabbed me in the heart a little bit. Mm-hmm. The same way she stabbed herself in the heart. Because it is so slow paced and just like a punch to the gut. And this is the first time that it's blatantly said.
Yeah.
You know? Now, we also get this afterword, which was added to the original story and sums up a lot about the way the main character is portrayed.
Yeah.
So here's a little excerpt of the parts I picked out. I'm paraphrasing, but the main character is a person without personhood, a person raised without culture, without social constructs, and without knowledge. She is an experiment. What does a person become when they are stripped to the core? She is both curious and courageous. This story shows the worst people can do and also the tenderness and love that people are capable of. Before we get into our many discussion questions, we're going to take another quick break.
Here at Fully Booked and Caffeinated, Kelsey and I love a good strong coffee. But sometimes you just need a coffee to take the edge off and not keep you up all night, or maybe you're cutting back on your caffeine intake without sacrificing the flavor. Well, that's where Savorista Coffee comes in. Savorista Coffee offers premium craft decaf and half-calf blends that are small batch roasted for exceptional taste with ethically sourced beans, natural decaffeination, and bold flavors, such as the Colombian Inspiration Decaf with chocolate, caramel, citrus, and fruit notes, or the Barely Buzzed Half-Calf with dark chocolate, toasted marshmallows, and walnuts, which is directly going into my shopping cart. Our listeners can enjoy an exclusive discount of 25% off any product with our promo code CAFPOD. So head on over to Savorista.com and be sure to put in that promo code during checkout. Again, that's Savorista, Savorista.com, promo code CAFPOD to try out what customers rave to be the best decaf coffee they've ever tried.
If you're a listener of the pod, you know that Heather and I are booked and busy. We're always looking for ways to make our life easier and to boost our energy and focus, which is why we've got a company for you to check out called Strong Coffee Company. Their instant coffee and latte options not only provide a quick route to your delicious morning coffee, their blends are also infused with 15 grams of grass-fed protein, 5 grams of MCTs, 250 milligrams of adaptogens such as ashwagandha and theanine. If you're like, what the heck does all that mean? It means you'll be getting much better sleep, more mental clarity, and no jitters or crashes. Better sleep means more productivity and more energy to do things you love, like read and listen to this podcast. So if you're committed to being your best, healthiest self without giving up your daily cup of coffee, check out Strong Coffee Company. We've got an exclusive discount for you only for listeners of our show. Head to strongcoffeecompany.com and use promo code CAFPOD to get 20% off any product. This is the highest discount Strong Coffee offers, so make sure to use this code ASAP and let us know what you think. Again, that's strongcoffeecompany.com and use promo code CAFPOD. Okay, so we're back.
case you didn't know.
Listen, we're still working on our transitions over here. Okay, so this book is defined as feminist speculative literature, which I'm surprised we've never defined before on this podcast. So feminist spec, maybe we haven't because I can't fucking pronounce it. Feminist spec lit uses science fiction, fantasy, and dystopian themes to explore gender roles and power dynamics, female friendships, the nature of humanity, and the role of society in shaping identity. Sounds like our new podcast bio.
Slap that on a sticker.
Okay, so in this book, there's this overwhelming sense of vagueness, right? We can't define a time period that this is taking place in, or a region, or an area, or a country. We don't know the purpose of the bunkers. We don't know what started it or the intended ending. What was the purpose? It's not like they were down there sewing clothing to be sent somewhere. They were just existing with no purpose at all. And all of that contributes to this feeling as a reader that things are tense and unknown. And we as human beings need structure some more than others. Virgos, looking at you. But we need society. We need direction. We need purpose. And without those things, we're more animalistic. Which brings me to my question about expression. And we've touched on this a little bit with our dark matter discussion. Discussion. But my question is, if we can't express ourselves through interests, hobbies, clothing, etc., who are we? And this is where Rose comes in my opinion. She's the only one with a tangible hobby or a way to express herself.
Yeah.
Because they don't have paper to write or to draw. They don't have real hobbies besides the ones that they have made for themselves, you know? And none of the other women have this. Like, they're classified by their age and what little memories they have from their past. So it takes us down to our base instincts and our personalities, but those personalities are somewhat hinging upon our interactions with the world around us. So that's why our main character has this unique personality, because she isn't held back by the old world. Her responses are only based on the world she knows, not the past or what ifs.
Yeah.
So what do you think makes us us without all of these things? Like, if I had to describe you, you know, I might list your personality, obviously, like some of your traits, some of your hobbies, things you're interested in. And it's like, what if you don't have any of those things?
I think it just strips it all away and you're kind of just existing.
Yeah.
You know?
And there's also things we take for granted, like cheese, chocolate, bread. They had none of these things. Comforts like lotion, shampoo, hairbrushes. And without those things, how would we behave differently? How would we stop caring about certain things, about ourselves, about taking care of ourselves? And at the end of the day, they are defined by love and caring for one another. And I think that that proves that this is a base instinct for human beings.
I agree.
And that's why it makes living in our society today so fucking frustrating, because we innately care about other people and about society as a whole. And MAGA seemingly doesn't. That will be my last planned, what is the word I'm looking for? Reference to MAGA, but alas, we will see where our discussion goes. Okay, so a lot of the human experience is growing and learning.
Yes.
And our main character teaches herself how to read, to build, to cook. And so she has this stunted emotional growth and inability to love like the others. So she's missing part of the humanity, but has other parts of it. You know? And I think that's really easy to relate to about the fact of like the growing and learning, because we learn new things every single day. Every single day we're, you know, learning more. We're meeting people who expose us to new cultures, realities, ideas, thoughts, and like that's all part of being human. That's what keeps us going.
Yes. I think consistently learning is what keeps the brain moving.
And keeps us growing and hopefully becoming better people. So let's talk about their coping mechanisms. So in the bunker, the women cope by talking in circles, talking about nothing, and talking for hours about how they're going to boil the carrots today. Which, like, imagining boiled carrots every single day could never be me. And our main character sees this as pointless until she realizes that it's a coping mechanism. And outside of the bunker, they're able to use each other's company and the work that it takes to survive in the wilderness to keep them going. How do you think you would handle this life, and how would you cope?
I actually thought about that a lot while reading it, because I was thinking about if this became my reality, how would I think that I would thrive in the companionship, but once it was solitary, I think I'd fucking lose my mind. Because it's, you know, we as the reader clearly don't know the extent that the main character lived her life in complete solitary. But even if it was, you know, 15 years, you know, that's 365 days of 1 year times 50. Like, that's a long time to not have any human interaction. You know, at some point she's like, I haven't talked in so long that my voice is like hoarse. You know, what do you do to pass the time realistically?
There's only so many ways to entertain yourself. There's no landscape. There's no, you know, she's got a limited number of books.
Yeah. And she has no answers either. You know, there's this kind of, you're almost like waiting for the other shoe to drop, and it just never does.
And think about, I mean, even just the difference us now between like, compared to when we were younger, we have so much available to us.
Yeah.
That boredom exists in ways it never did before. And like, how can we possibly be bored with so many things? How can we possibly not find something to watch on TV when we have 20 fucking streaming services? We've got 1 million books to read. Like, and obviously it wasn't like this when we were younger because we had a lot less variety of things to choose from. But imagine all of that being stripped away after our brains are programmed the way they are now.
It's got to be difficult. Because I can't even imagine doing it. I would go fucking insane. Like, you're telling me...
Even in prison, they got TV.
Yeah.
I definitely wouldn't last too long. That's for sure.
No.
Which brings me to my next question. Okay, so I'm curious about this because you and I have different views on dying. Would you want to be put out of your misery, or would you want to live until you couldn't live anymore?
It's a loaded question because I think I hypothetically would say that I'd want to live until I couldn't anymore, but also who's to say what my mental health would be like, and if I was suffering in different ways, would I want to continue a life where I was every day losing my goddamn mind? Probably not.
And I think for you specifically, like, then becoming a burden on the people around you.
Yeah.
Like some of the women who were getting sick, like there was one woman who definitely was getting like dementia or senile or whatever. And it's like, that's becoming a burden on this, you know, community. And not that it's seen as a burden. This is their community.
Yeah.
But you would have those feelings, you know? Mm-hmm. I do agree it is a loaded question. Like, I would definitely struggle. I never want to get old. I never want to die from old age. And I'm also restless and independent like our main character. Mm-hmm. So I feel like I would walk myself off into the distance and walk to my death.
Bye-bye.
And just die peacefully on a riverbank. Like,
yeah, that sounds nice, though.
Yeah, could be worse. You know, could be stabbed in the heart.
I say you could just be stabbed in the heart.
And just buried in... God, it's so weird. So weird. So, they do have a sense of acceptance in death that's hard for us to comprehend because they know that they have nothing to look forward to. No one will save them. Life will never go back to how it was. And the only certainty is death. And at the beginning, you know, they had a little bit of hope. The guards have to come back eventually. We have to find something eventually. We're walking for years and years. We have to find something. And nothing. And obviously the longer time goes on, the less hope they have. The less, you know, they know it's not happening. And it comes out several times where the women talk about basically living to die. Mm-hmm. Which is it sounds like such a horrible existence. But it is the exact same existence that we are living. Mm-hmm. We just have more distractions.
Exactly.
And we also have the possibility that we could die accidentally, suddenly, from sickness, whatever, that they don't have. Mm-hmm. They're not getting hit by a car.
I think about that way too much.
They're not having a vending machine fall on them. Getting bit by a shark. Actually, like... being eaten by a shark is a pretty metal way to go. But anyway. The ocean takes what it wants. You know what I mean?
It does. The ocean is a scary fucking place.
Which, like, thank God they have these little rivers that they keep happening upon. These little, like, streams that they just bathe in and relax in.
Yeah.
I can't imagine how... Because, like, you know when you're, like, swimming at the beach and it's, like, the most freeing thing... Mm-hmm. And they've been locked in this bunker for years. Mm-hmm. And even though they're in a new prison, at least they have, like, some simple pleasures.
Exactly. It could bring them a modicum of joy.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Okay, so how did you feel about all of the unanswered questions? I know we usually have issues with that in stories. Did you feel differently while reading this?
No, because I think that was the whole point of the story. Mm-hmm. I think that was the whole point of it. But I think that this is the kind of book that leaves the interpretation up to, like, the reader and, like, what they think was going on. I do like resolution, so it is kind of annoying because, like, I want to know, like, I need to know all the answers to everything. Mm-hmm. So for me personally, I'm like, I wish it ended differently, but I also understand why it didn't end differently.
Yeah, I feel like you said, that is the point of this book. And because there were so many unanswered questions, like, hundreds.
Because I'm just like, you know, because I'm like, all right, the guards on the bus that are randomly dead. I'm like, was there some kind of, like, chemical thing that, like, in the air that just fucking took them all out?
But where were they coming from?
Exactly.
The road went to nowhere.
And it's like, what are all the bunkers? Why are there so many? Where did all these people come from? Why are they there? Who was in charge of choosing guards over prisoners? Mm-hmm. Where the fuck
How did they get all the
go?
people there?
Yeah.
How long did it take for them to create these bunkers?
Are they on Earth anymore? You know what I mean? Like,
I was going to say that. So this does become a debate in the book that, you know, at first all the women are like, oh, we could be here, we could be here, we could be here. Oh, wait, we don't even know if we're in the U.S. Oh, wait, we don't even know if we're on Earth.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, the fact that it's this uniform landscape. And the fact that every residence is underground.
Yeah.
Means something.
I know. And when she approaches the final destination, you know, when I was reading it, I thought that maybe that was going to lead somewhere to, like, a new place, and it just didn't.
Or, like, another survivor who lived there.
Yeah.
What were they doing? Where did they go?
And it's also interesting that everything, for the extent of the novel, and for however long after the main character dies, how is there still running water? How is there still electricity? Like, how are these things existing? And also, everything was so well fucking stocked. So, like, this was something that was obviously pre-thought about. It wasn't just some random
and designed
situation
to last for years and years. And like we said before, what was the purpose of keeping them in there? They weren't producing anything. They weren't experimenting on them in any obvious way. They weren't studying them in any obvious way. It was just random guards. Where did the guards go? Did they get beamed up into spaceships? How did they escape? There were no cars, no roads. And like they said, we would have heard a helicopter. We got here too quickly for them to have just disappeared from the sky. It's the fact that there's so much unanswered that you can't even be upset about it because there's too much.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I understand the way that it was written and, like, why it was that way. Because we were never given any scintilla of information about what the fuck was going on.
I would have liked, like, maybe a single answer. Just, like, maybe just, like, one little nugget of information.
Yeah. I agree.
And we didn't get that. But by the end, I was accepting it.
But then it's also just, like, interesting because what was the point of the guards leaving? You know, because say that they didn't have that opportunity to escape. Then it would just be millions of bunkers of dead people.
My theory is that it was a simulation. And for some reason, they had to abandon the simulation. And
that
they
makes
just
sense.
Forgot all about it. I don't know why they didn't pull the plug on the electricity. But I don't know what other explanation there is. God, it's so crazy to think about.
I know.
And just like the level of organization and to have millions and millions and millions of people, because you have, you know, thousands of bunkers with 40 people in every bunker, plus the amount of guards that were at each bunker. We don't know if they got out alive. We just know they're not there.
Yeah, and just the amount of time and energy that went to even building the bunkers and stocking them. Yeah.
And having 3 guards at a time, 24 hours a day. That's insane. Okay, my last question is, how would you sum up this book if you were trying to tell someone to read it?
Well, I actually think I think that this should be a required read in, like, school.
I am surprised this is not a school book.
Because I think it's a book that makes your noggin think, you know. It really makes you reflect on your current quality of life. And even though times fucking suck right now, but, like, at least we have the ability to make our own decisions and to have hobbies and to live our own lives and not have, well, at this point in time, have things stripped away from us and, like, make us be prisoners and everything. So it really just, I think it really made me reflect a lot. And just, because, like I said, like, there were points in the book where I'm like, wow, I'm like, if this happened to me, like, I just lived in solitary for 20 years with no human connection, that would be difficult for me. Because I am I am a human connection girly. I'm a Cancer through and through.
100%.
So it's like, while I hate people and I like my alone time, I definitely thrive on being needed and needing other people. So I wouldn't do well. I would not do well being by myself.
And there's that added pressure of even being with other people.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? What are you, like, you and I can go and talk for 3 hours straight, but we're talking about everything that happened over the past month. We're talking about TV shows. We're talking about, like, what do you talk about when you don't have new experiences?
I know, but that's why I kind of liked the through line of everyone realizing that the other 39 women realizing that they could bestow their knowledge upon this girl who knows nothing, who has known nothing. And so they're able to kind of, because there's that point in the book where she gets so angry. She's like, why can't you just tell me? She's like, I want to know. And then finally, like, like, why aren't we telling you?
Yeah. Because it's cruel of you to keep it from me.
Yeah. It's like, because we're upset that we no longer have it. It's like, well, why don't we reflect on it? And while it might obviously bring up certain feelings, at least you're like continuing the line of education.
Yeah. I was going to say that, like, yes, it can be hard. And that's why they originally don't want to do it, because they know it's going to be difficult. But then once they start to do it, they all get into it. And they all want to pool all of their knowledge together. And it ends up being not only a bonding thing, but it gives them some renewed excitement.
Yeah, and it's also like an interesting, what I thought was also an interesting part of the book was clearly the main character, her growth was stunted because she never got to experience puberty and she never got a period, and clearly like her female anatomy works differently, because then when she kind of learns about, when Anthea like gives her the lesson on like
anatomy,
orgasms and stuff like that, and so when she's by herself at a moment of like self-reflection, she's by herself, she like tries to like give herself pleasure and she can't, but then there's times when she kind of it's like when she experiences that kind of pleasure, it's not out of the typical norm. It's almost like pure, just like imagination, which is, I think, a very interesting thing.
Yeah, I think it's especially interesting because it shows that our base instinct still has to do with pleasure and taking care of ourselves, because, the whole thing is like, back in the olden days and possibly now in MAGA households, women aren't supposed to experience pleasure. Yeah. They're supposed to be there to reproduce. Sex is supposed to be for reproducing, and that's it. And the only one who's supposed to experience pleasure is a man, because he's got to spew his seed everywhere. Pew pew. And so it's kind of, challenging that and saying, no, this is our base human instinct.
I know, and also the base human instinct of women still craving that connection, because you have the women who are in kind of like, I don't know if I would call them couples, but they eventually, like, some people pair off to like have that human connection with each other. And I can guarantee you that they probably came into this bunker not being a lesbian. I'm sure that they had a totally different life pre-bunker. But when you're ripped away from society and men and having like a companion, there are people who, like me specifically, you crave a human connection. You crave intimacy or physical touch. And so it doesn't matter man or woman, they just need it from somebody.
And they have spent all of this time in the bunker, not only not being able to touch each other or even hold hands or even touch each nudge each other's shoulder when they're laughing, but also they have been imprisoned by men. And while they don't know who actually put them there or the reason or how it happened, all they have as a visual every single day is that there's men out there and we're in here.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I think, obviously, we think that this is going to be something that only women are locked up. So it was an interesting discovery when they found bunkers full of men. And you're like, okay, so what was the point of this? Because it's clearly not targeted on just women. It was targeted on all of humanity. And also, like, why were they separated?
Yeah, because obviously it wasn't to procreate. And to continue society. And yeah, I really am curious about why there were men, because to your point from before, who decides what men are guards and what men are?
But also, how do we not know that maybe there were female guards for the men?
Exactly. We have no idea. And we don't know enough about the women to know their backgrounds. We do know that some of them were working women, some of them were homemakers, but we don't know, like, socioeconomically why they were chosen or why they were lumped together or why, you know what I mean? Like, there's obviously a system that we have absolutely no inclination towards.
I know, and it also seems interesting because there's never any bunker discoveries of, like, young people.
Never.
Like, you never see one that's all children. And so you do wonder, obviously, it probably was a mistake for her to be in this bunker. You almost wonder if they, like, eradicated children, you know?
And the younger guard, he was noticeably younger than the other guards.
Yeah.
Was he the only guard like that? Was it different at every bunker? Like, there's just so much about the organization that we don't know.
Yeah, like, I feel like this is a really good discussion book. Like, I feel like, you know, especially in, like, a classroom setting.
Yeah, I think it would definitely be great for that. And, like, book club, too. Definitely a good book club pick. But, yeah, I'm surprised that, you know, some of these other books, like Lord of the Flies, or, you know, books where you can really break down the animalistic parts of human beings.
Yes.
And, like, when you strip everything away, this is so much like one of those books.
Yeah. And there was also never any moment in time where they turned on one another.
Yeah.
Like, they truly stayed together as a unit.
Which is crazy. And yeah, they said they had, like, little quarrels, like little lovers' quarrels and stuff. But they never split up. They never... You know, as much as the main character wanted to leave, she never did.
But I also wonder how it would look if they did not have access to the amount of amenities that they did.
Oh, yeah.
Because that was also kind of like a shocking factor of the book. I wasn't expecting them to have full access to things to keep them alive. You know,
and to keep them, like, fat, like, well fed.
I was thinking this was going to be like The Walking Dead-esque, where they had to figure out ways of survival when there's absolutely no way of getting sustenance.
Because they can't hunt. There's nothing to hunt.
You have to just survive on whatever you come across. So, you know, it's crazy that they all could have if they had the ability to be eternal, they could have survived the rest of their lives.
Yeah, and that's why I said, like, those biggest obstacles for a dystopian novel, food was solved, and shelter, because they built their own shelter, but also the climate was mild enough that they could exist out in the open, and the cabins above the bunkers, they could have split up and all gone in those cabins. Like, there was so many options for all of these things that sustain life. All right, anything else you want to discuss before we get to our ratings?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, so our rating scale is Roads to Nowhere. How many Roads to Nowhere did you give this book?
I gave it 4. You know, it was... obviously had never heard of this book. I asked you 500 times what was it called because I kept forgetting.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I literally just never knew about this book. So I was interested to read it. Obviously, it was only like 178 pages.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't even, this was, I mean, it is like it is enough. Maybe it's almost more like a novella.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I wouldn't call it like a full-blown book, but it was, I didn't know where it was going to go. I was anticipating them being in this bunker for the entirety of the book. So when all of a sudden there was like this whole new I think that I actually was kind of not sure that I was going to get into it until that happened.
Mm-hmm.
And until they were able to escape. Then I was like fully invested. So I think just because of the slow start, I had no anticipation of where it was going, and I didn't know that I was going to enjoy it, and I was a little nervous. But then it like found its groove, and I was into it, and I wanted to know where it was going to go from that point forward. Mm-hmm. So I really think that this is something that should be like a required reading in like high school, especially being, written by a woman and heavily female centric.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I didn't really touch on it, but you do have so many similarities between Jews in World War II, not just Jews, but anyone who was in concentration camps in World War II,
yeah,
and people who were imprisoned, and with seemingly no reason.
Exactly.
Right? And being separated, like women and children and men, and there were so many parallels. Mm-hmm. And, she's obviously writing from her lived experience and from surviving through that time. And it's another one of those books that they call dystopian, but doesn't feel that dystopian. You know what I mean?
No. But that's also why I think books like this have such success or really sit with people, because it's so clearly based off of personal experiences. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I think that this is why anyone can truly write a story, because every single person on this earth has a different life, and we all experience things differently. We all feel things differently. So
and we read through the lens of our own experiences.
Exactly, because you and I read the same book and we look at it completely differently, or we feel differently about it. So
And then TikTok feels differently from us.
Looking at you, Frida McFadden fans.
I was going to say Silent Patient, but yes, that too.
Oh, yes, that too. That as well.
Yeah, I also gave this 4 Roads to Nowhere. I obviously think the beauty of this book is in the discussion and in the lasting impact more than the actual story.
Yes.
But I think it accomplishes so much with so little. Mm-hmm. Like that's why it's hard to explain, because there is a plot, but the plot isn't really what you're focused on.
No, it's not. And I don't think that you can really even give it a plot point.
And it's so slow paced, and it's so it's hard to define, because, to your point, it is going to affect everyone differently, and they are going to see different things in it. Like, whereas, you read it and your thought was, I could never survive the solitude that she survived at the end. And someone else might be looking at the bunker or you know what I mean? Like, there's so many different ways to look at this, so it's hard to tell someone why they should read it, because they won't know until they read it. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I did not know what to expect. I just saw this on TikTok, and I'm like, oh, this sounds like my kind of book just based on the title. And it was so much different than I anticipated. Mm-hmm. It was kind of like, I'm thinking of ending things, how the end was just like the unknown, and it left so much to the reader's interpretation. Mm-hmm. It was like that, but because this had such a feminist centered story and a female centered story, it was so easy for us to find ourselves in it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so there we are. That's I Who Have Never Known Men, which is like a kind of tongue-twistery title, but I get it because they brought that in to the last sentence of the book. So We shall forgive Jacqueline. Anything else you want to add?
No, I think that's good.
All right, that's all we have for you today. If you like what you heard, please make sure to follow, subscribe, and rate and review the podcast on whatever platform you're using. If you have any book recommendations or questions for us, you can email us at fullybookedcalfpod@gmail.com. Also, be sure to follow us on TikTok and Instagram at fullybookedcalfpod to see our upcoming reads. Thanks for checking us out, and remember,
if you need us, we're fully booked.
Bye!